There's so much money in this world. I tell people, you know somebody that will give you the money to invest in real estate. If you don't have it, you know somebody that has the funds or the means to be able to help you and invest with you.
I know you had a family of entrepreneurs, right? You talk about your grandfather with the barbershop, some other family members who had businesses and entrepreneurial endeavors. Tell me a little bit about what you learned from them and what was your mindset around getting into entrepreneurship?
What I learned from them was like freedom. I saw that my grandparents always had the freedom to really like do anything I wanted. And I really like that, right? And it really just showed me, okay, freedom. And then also like being able to manage your own lifestyle in a way.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So you mentioned having that investment property. You talk about being 22, 23 years old. I believe the first one was under $6,000 that you got. So you've been in this real estate thing a while, even though we're still young. What are some tips and tricks for a young person to get into real estate? I know me and my business partner, we put up basically $7,500 each and was able to get a property. And people are like, oh, I thought you needed 50, 60,000 and all this. What are some steps that people can do, young people, that can get into real estate?
The steps that I would always say are just like, okay, first of all, you need to figure out what an FHA loan is. You figure that out because you can only put 3.5% down. Everyone thinks, like you just said, $50,000, $60,000 to buy a property, but they don't understand that there's so many ways around it. Seller financing deals, there's different kind of things that you can create and make up to benefit you. There's so much money in this world. I tell people, you know somebody that will give you the money to invest in real estate. You just have, if you don't have it, you know somebody that has the funds or the means to be able to help you and invest with you, right? I started with my mom. It could be a grandma, it could be an aunt, it could be a friend's mom. Like it could be somebody, but you have to let people know what you're doing and then start figuring out strategies to make it happen. So I would say a FHA loan basically is where you get the property, you got to stay in it for a year. And then once you stay in it for a year, you're able to rent that property out. So for me, the first property that we got, I went in with my mom, like I said, and we purchased a property. It took like a year to do all the renovations, stayed in it for a little bit, and then was able to rent it out. And then once I kind of saw that process, I was like, wow, this is easier than I ever thought it was. And I was one of those people that was like, you got to have all this money to get into real estate, but it's honestly insane. I've gotten properties for $100 and people think it's honestly crazy. And there's always ways to get into the real estate game, but you just have to figure out what works for you and the strategy that you can implement basically.
Gotcha. I want to dive a little bit deeper about ownership in general. I know for me, coming from a single parent household, grew up in a disadvantaged neighborhood, I didn't know the word equity until I was literally 19 years old. Wow. So we never owned any of the apartments we lived in, cars we drove, any of those things. So you talk about having grandparents that had land, you talking about wanting land, you talking about a mom who was in real estate. What is the importance of equity, of real estate, of ownership for Black Americans?
It's huge because, and it's sad to see, right? Like grandma's house, like grandma passes away and the family gets the house and they are so quick to just sell the land and just get the money out of it. I really think it's like the lack of education throughout it all.
Yeah.
And the earlier we can teach our community, we can teach our kids, just like the better it'll be for us, because they don't understand the benefit of just keeping the real estate. It doesn't matter what grandma's house looks like, just keep it in the family.
It'll go up in value.
And it'll go up. That equity is just insane. And I don't think a lot of people really, I didn't even know about it. Like it's something that is it's not taught enough. It's like the older you get, it's like you see that like, man, there's actually like a lot of successful Black people out here really getting it in.
Yeah.
And I just wish that a lot of times, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I wish a lot of times they poured into the youth a little bit more so we can really just start building these communities up and people realizing you can own property at whatever age you want to be.
Yeah.
And, if you get your hands on some property, what you should do. If you are interested in getting some properties, here's what you should do. So there should be a lot more initiative on that, but I think that it's just like in Black America is like something that's just not talked about enough.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've learned is that when you're already surviving, you have a clear vision on options. So my grandmother just passed away in February, and I inherited her home. Wow. And so, I'm talking to my siblings and everything. They're like, just sell the house. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So quick to say. But again, when it's, hey, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or hey, the car note is due, $40,000 in cash seems so enticing. And I'm like, I can blow $40,000 like in 2 days with a business, right? So I feel like when you have that survival, you can have more options to look at and be like, okay, this is going to grow in equity over time. My question for you would be, when you're talking to that friend that you mentioned, or maybe you're talking to someone else in your community, you're from Louisiana, what are you saying to them when they're like, oh, I'm going to go sell the grandparents' house, or oh, I'm going to go do this with my credit? Are you trying to give them a different mindset? What are you doing when you hear those type of conversations?
I really kind of talk on personal experience, and then I would say kind of just like back it up with like education in the sense like, okay, let's say my friend gets a property and he wants to sell it. Then I would just sit down with him and just like look it up. I'll say, okay, let's see the benefits of selling it now, and then possibly what it could be. Let's see what things are selling around the area, and let's see how the value of it has grown already. So just kind of like making, but at the same time, like you said, when you're surviving, it's easier to make those decisions on, okay, let me not do it, and let me not do it, and let me do it. So it's like, it all depends on the personal situation. So it's more so not like telling them what to do, but I was like, man, I think you should do this. This will be best for you and your family eventually. But I see your circumstance now. Maybe it's the right time to do it now. And then if that's what the case is, then I'm saying, okay, once you sell it, this is what you possibly should do. Yeah. Like once you sell it, we can team up on this. Let's do this, this, and this, and make this shake. So that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, don't go selling and buy liabilities.
Right. Don't go selling and buy liabilities. Like you can go sell that, buy something else that's going to grow in more value, and then we borrow against that, and we go do it 3 more times, and it's like, let's ride.
Yeah.
Then you can buy what you want.
Then you can buy what you want. Let your assets pay for what you actually want. Yeah, which is crazy.